Hello everybody, how you guys doing? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we'll be talking about PvP gearing in Legion. So Blizzard recently on the World of Warcraft website have released the Dev Watercooler, where they talked about the gearing for PvP in Legion, basically all the constraints and their hopes about it. And the community was like, well, we can kind of see what you're going with, Blizzard, but we're not too happy with it, and they were pretty vocal about it. So here I am to talk to you guys about the things that are the concerns for the gearing in Legion, what most people are saying, and there's big 3 points that I really just want to cover, because those are the points that just seem to be repeating amongst multitudes of people whose opinions have been voted pretty highly on the forum post. Now, I think I want to get this point clear. This is not a negative video, not supposed to be negative. It is meant to be more of a video for all of us to come up with a solution or an alternative for a better experience and have a group discussion on it. So I just want to make this video to put out to you guys what is going on, how does Blizzard feel about Legion, how does the community feel about Legion, and ask you guys what are your thoughts on it. The first point is randomized gear, and the way that Blizzard is kind of doing, I guess like a little TLDR, the way Blizzard is kind of doing their gear for Legion, they are making it more of a strong box type of loot. No longer will they have honor point system, valor point system, conquest point system. You won't buy gear with points. Every time you complete a BG or arena, you have a chance to get a random piece of gear, and the piece of gear quality is going to depend on your rating. So the better your rating is, the higher chance that you have that the item piece for it will be higher. But the fact is, randomized gear, you could, you know, queue up some BGs and you can get a headpiece, chest piece, legs, and you're like, wow, I'm pretty geared already for PvP. But you are just as likely to queue in a BG and get the same damn useless trinket, maybe like a really useless trinket with really bad stats for you. You'll get it 3 times in a row. So the gear randomization isn't rewarding, and people have expressed concerns. What they liked about the point system with honor points and conquest points, as well as valor and whatever PvE points you had way back in the day, those point systems allowed you to allow for character progression and to plan out your character progression. Give yourself a set goal, like, hey, I want to get my chess piece by the end of this week, and then you set this goal and then you grind out the pieces through BG queues or whatever, and then you finally get it. So you had a bit more control, and it was a rewarding experience. But in a randomized experience, like let's say where you have to farm a single boss over and over and over just to get that one trinket that is the best in slot for you in terms of rating, that was more frustrating than exciting. And by the time people are done farming that trinket, after I don't know how long they had to farm, maybe like months or weeks, it was more like, finally I got the trinket, about time, Blizzard. It wasn't like, yeah, I got my trinket after investing months into it. That's basically what people are talking about. They want to have a bit more control with the character progression rather than let it be up in the air and let randomized gear kind of take over. The second point is stat customization, and for the longest time, ever since WoD, Blizzard has taken steps in order to, I guess, curb the gear and stat customization as much as possible. They removed enchants for most of your gear. Gemming for the most part is gone, because you used to have just about every single piece of gear had a gem to put into it. And reforging is gone completely. So being able to have a hunter that goes all haste, or a warrior who goes all crit, and have like 2 different warriors, like one goes crit, one goes mastery, is unlikely because everybody gets standardized gear. People kind of miss that, at least from what I've seen from forums. A lot of people miss the idea of stat customization because it is part of character progression and part of being unique in terms of playing World of Warcraft. While World of Warcraft, in terms of like heavy raiding and competitive PvP, it is all about the meta. It is all about getting the most out of your class, the most out of your character, the most out of your setup, the most out of your playstyle, getting yourself the best enchants, the best in slot gear, the best stats to convert everything to, and then learning the best playstyle. But not everybody enjoys the meta, and people like the idea of customization. There is more to World of Warcraft than just hardcore PvP and hardcore raiders. There are plenty of noobs who just want to explore and play around with their character and try different things, and that is completely fine. And that is something a lot of players, like myself, did kind of forget about. There's a lot of players that aren't all about the meta all the time. So people kind of miss that. And while not everybody enjoyed reforging and gemming every single piece of gear that you got right after a raid boss was done with, people still do like the character customization, the personal progression, and the stat customization. The third point that people have talked about is the gear gap, which I don't really know how I feel about it, but the gear gap basically meant that in Warlord's General, somebody fully geared for PvP dealt far more damage and was far more effective for PvP than someone who didn't have any gear, even though the player's experience as well as skill level might be exactly the same. So gear basically carried the player or the class. But Blizzard decided that in Legion they want to reduce that as much as possible, but making the game more about personal skill than gear and eliminating the gear advantage by as much as possible. But now they said what kind of gear gap they're looking at. We were expecting it was going to be maybe like 100 item levels, might be like a difference between 3 and 5% of effectiveness, but they said it's 10%. So gear with item level of 800 and gear with item level of 900 is going to have 10% difference in terms of effectiveness. That means damage, healing, and whatever other benefits it might give. So I felt like that was a bit of a high number because I was expecting some kind of low number. I was thinking Blizzard was going to curb the whole gear carry as much as possible and make the game truly about skill in terms of at least PvP. But I guess it kind of makes sense. People want to get the progression, people want to feel rewarded for having, you know, the best gear, the best in slot, or maybe even lucky from all these random drops. And the gear will also increase with the item level depending on your rating. So maybe if you're really lucky and maybe if you have a high rating, then you just might be able to get yourself some great gear with no stat customization. But those are the 3 issues that people have with Legion in terms of PvP and gear. Let me know what you guys think about all these points. My name is Dalaran. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to talk to you guys next time. I got an interview for a job around 6. So I'll see you guys later.